going on, guys? Chem Coop, aka Coach of your San Antonio Salamence here, bringing you our week 3 of APA Ascension Draft League. So today we're going to be playing Coach Shuckleking in the Philadelphia Absol. You can see the team on the right there. Definitely got a scary team, a lot of offensive threats and stuff like Victini, Z Dragonite, attack Z Dragonite, Mega HERACROSS is absolute beast. Archeops hits hard until it gets below 50%, and then it's pretty weak. Scizor, also a scary threat. Yeah, Shuckleking's actually been doing really well this season, so he's 2-0 with a +8 differential going into this game. So that actually puts him in first place in the league, and really he's been able to do that because he's been bringing Speed Boost Scolipede with Baton Passing Mega HERACROSS, and then just sweeping with Mega HERACROSS because that thing is so strong. Really, its biggest weakness is the fact that it's slow. So if you pass its speed, it's no longer slow, and it killed everything. So yeah, definitely a terrifying combination, and one that we have to really prep for, especially because my entire team pretty much is weak to Mega HERACROSS combination of Bullet Seed, Pin Missile, Close Combat, and Rock Blast. So this is definitely a really bad matchup for me. Dragonite's really scary Pokemon, Victini's really scary for my team, and Mega HERACROSS is just pretty much gets a kill anytime it comes out. So yeah, this is a really tough matchup, but I'm definitely going to do my best, and I really like the team I've prepped for this week. So first Pokemon we got here, we got Flame Orb Guts HERACROSS, running enough speed for his Dragonite, yeah, for Jolly Dragonite. I mean, I figured he'd probably run Adamant, but just to make sure, we got the 216 Jolly. Max attack, and then the rest dumped into bulk. Pretty much we got dual stabs because they just obliterate stuff like Archeops, Drampa, Umbreon, Rhyperior, Espeon if it switches in on Megahorn. Scizor's going to take a ton from Guts, Close Combat, stuff like that. And then our 2 tech moves we got, so we got Rock Blast here, and really the Rock Blast is there because if we end up facing off against like a sub Protect Scolipede, the nice thing we can do is we can click Rock Blast, and we can break the substitute on Scolipede, I think with the first Rock Blast, and then we can just pound it with Guts boosted Rock Blast. Super effective Rock Blast hits against that Scolipede, so hopefully we could break through the potential sub Scolipede and kill it before it can pass to Heracross. The other thing too is that even if it does manage to pass to Heracross, we're actually packing Aerial Ace here. So if the Heracross stays in on my Heracross, a non-Mega Heracross is going to be able to beat Mega Heracross with a nice one-hit KO from a Guts Aerial Ace. So yeah, I really like Heracross's matchup against this team. Obviously stuff like Espeon is faster and scary, Victini is faster and is scary, and Archeops is faster and is scary for it, but other than that, Rhyperior, Umbreon, Drampa, Wobbuffet, Scizor, his Mega HERACROSS, they're all pretty much going to get dunked by this thing. So yeah, this is definitely a good pick for me to bring. The next Pokemon we got here is our Meloetta. Just like the Heracross, we're running enough speed for a Jolly Dragonite. I was running Hidden Power Ice on this, but then I figured Hidden Power Fire might be a little bit more useful in case we came up against a scenario where like I led Meloetta and he led Scizor. I could just get off Hidden Power Fire here, and even if he's like 252 HP Scizor, I have a good chance of OHKOing it with Hidden Power Fire. Dual stabs on this, really just to hit the Heracross. Hyper Voice is to try and get past Substitute, either if it's either on the Heracross or on the Scolipede. We can hit them super hard behind their subs with Hyper Voice. And our last tech move on this, even though we were running a lot of speed on the team overall, we got Trick Room on Meloetta, because if it comes down to a late game scenario where it might be something like Victini and Scolipede versus a weakened Meloetta or something like that, or perhaps like Archeops or something like that, something that's faster than Meloetta basically, we can get a Trick Room off and try and sweep against my opponent that way with Meloetta. And the other thing this has a nice niche of, so you can see that we got the Tanga Berry on it, which halves the damage from bug moves. So if my opponent opts to bring something like sub Megahorn Baton Pass Scolipede, we can trick him on Scolipede and then essentially negate the benefits that it gets from the speed boost and then we can try and beat the Scolipede down. And the reason the Tenga Berry is useful is because it guarantees we get the Trick Room off even against like max attack Life Orb Scolipede. Yeah, so Meloetta has a decent matchup here. I mean, obviously it does well versus the Scolipede with my Berry, Mega Heracross, and stuff like that, so it does well against some big threats. But it's not going to be the most useful Pokemon in this game, unlike Heracross and our next Pokemon, our Mega Diancie. So Diancie here, we're running Stealth Rocks because if he doesn't bring Espeon, Stealth Rocks are really nice versus the Dragonite, the Victini, the Scolipede, all that stuff, and the Archeops as well. So if we can find an opportunity where we have Diancie in a favorable position, we can click Stealth Rocks. However, most of the time, we're going to be either looking to Rock Polish up to try and blow through my opponent, because then we'll be able to outspeed even stuff like Choice Scarf Victini, Choice Scarf Scolipede, stuff like that. Or Choice Scarf Archeops. Potential Scarf Pokemon are not going to be faster than my +2 Mega Diancie, and if you look at his team and you look at Diamond Storm and Moonblast, there's not really anything that resists that combination of attacks. So Diancie's super good here. I need to make sure this thing stays alive so that I can just fire off huge hits against my opponent's team, because kind of like his Mega Heracross, we get a kill pretty much anytime Diancie comes out. Next Pokemon here, we got a nice Magneton. Pretty much this is our Scizor killer. Because I talked about how important Mega Diancie is, we really want to make sure that we can get rid of that Scizor immediately. So that way he can't late game bullet punch my +2 speed Diancie and stop the sweep that way. So we got Magnet Pull with Eviolite. Normally you'll see someone run like Scarf or Specs on Magneton, but I really liked the Eviolite because even if my opponent is running something like Scarf Adamant Superpower Scizor or Akaberry Scizor or something like that with Superpower, the Eviolite actually, an HP investment, gives us enough bulk to take Superpower from Adamant 252 Scizor into Bullet Punch. So we can guarantee to get rid of the Scizor, and that's really what I care the most about, and that's really the only reason Magneton is here. Our next Pokemon, Blastoise. So if you look at my opponent's team, the only water resists are Dragonite and Dragon Pod, both of which are weak to Ice Beam. So we're running Scald, Ice Beam, Blastoise. We've also got Rapid Spin, in case my opponent decides they want to bring Stealth Rocks on their like Rhyperior or their Archeops or even Diancie, or if they decide to bring Hazard Stacking Scolipede with Spikes or T-Spikes, since obviously the T-Spike did really well against my team last week. We've also got Haze to get rid of Dragonite's boost if it elects to go for something like that, or to get rid of like Speed Pass from Heracross. So into Heracross. So obviously you can tell based on my opponent's last 2 replays, I was really terrified of potential Speed Pass. So brought a lot of counters to it in Haze Blastoise. We got Rock Polish Diancie to just outspeed everything, Trick Room Meloetta, and then the neat Heracross set. And then finally, our last Pokemon, we got Snorlax here. A lot of physical defense on this guy with Iapapa Berry, Gluttony, Recycle, so it pretty much has a guaranteed recovery as long as it doesn't get knocked off. We've also got Curse with Body Slam and Pursuit. Body Slam is really just to slow down some of his faster Pokemon and make it easier for some of my slower Mons to put in some work. And Pursuit is really there just for Espeon and Victini. This thing is pretty much made to take on Victini if it's like, as long as it's not, as long as it's not Choice Band V-Create, we can take it on pretty well. And if it is Choice Band V-Create, I think we can take 2 hits with the Iapapa Berry into the... we take the V-Create, then we get the Iapapa Berry heal. I think I can recycle and like take another V-Create or something like that. So, yeah, really that's just going to be our way of switching into non-Choice Band Victini and Espeon pretty well, and try and get off big damage on them with Pursuit if they try to switch out. Because really, if we can get rid of Espeon, Diancie can get up rocks, and just eliminates 1 potential speed tie for Diancie. Similarly for Victini, if we can get up rocks, we can just be chipping it down, or if we can pursue it, we can make sure it's in range of something like, even if it's like Scarf, we can make sure to try to get it in range of something like a Diancie Moonblast, just to make sure that we can get rid of that thing. Yeah, so that's pretty much our team here. Dragonite's definitely scary for this build. If we can get the Dragonite's off, I pretty much have to sack something. Potentially one thing I could go for here, it would be like Protect on Blastoise over Haze, because what that would allow me to do is, like, if I have, like, Blastoise versus Dragonite, I can Ice Beam, and then break the multi-scale, so he goes for the Dragon Dance. He has to Z then, because the Ice Beam is going to kill him the next turn, so he has to Z. I can click Protect on the Z, and then I should be able to be healthy enough to live any attack from the Dragonite, and then I can KO it and not have to make a sack, which would be an ideal situation, but I really like having Haze on this thing, I think, over Protect, so yeah. That's our team, and let us go ahead and get into battle. Alright, there we go. Alright, so got the team here. Look at my opponent, no Espeons. That means if I need to go for rocks, I can get them up. It also removes a potential Scarfer for my opponent, as well as something that could go for something like HP Steel and just pop my Diancie. So nice to know that that's one less thing I have to worry about. Other than that, we do see pretty much what I expected him to bring. Got Scolipede plus Heracross, Scizor for the Diancie, Victini and Dragonite were pretty much definite brings because they do have pretty good matchups versus my team. And then that last pick was something I wasn't sure about. I figured it could be Archeops, Rhyperior, or Espeon. And it ends up being Archeops, so getting rocks up was going to be super clutch. He's brought 4 things that are weak to rocks, and Dragonite's ability is obviously totally predicated on it having multi-scale, so, or on it being at 100%, so having Stealth Rocks up pretty much puts it in range of my Blastoise immediately, as well as Diancie. So yeah, rocks would be super nice in this game, and I'm just going to go ahead. Looking at my opponent's team, they don't have a single water resist other than their Dragonite, which, as I said, already doesn't really like fighting my Blastoise, so I'm just going to like to lead off with my Blastoise. If he's got a Hazard stack on the Scolipede, I have my Rapid Spinner out immediately and I can Scald Burn him. If he leads off with Dragonite or Archeops, again, if it's like a Suicide lead Archeops, I can try and burn it and get rid of his rocks and that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's go ahead and just get into this game here. So he does lead off with Dragonite as I lead off with Blastoise. Goes for the DD turn 1, I go for the Ice Beam. It does put him in range of the next Ice Beam through the multi-scale, so now looking at this, I know the Dragonite can be Z. I know it is most likely Z because Z gets a kill against my team, and now I pretty much have to decide what's the least useful member of my team. Given the fact that there's no Espeon, I end up deciding to stack Snorlax because there's a Scizor, so I need the Magneton to trap that. Heracross goes in against this team. It can do a lot. It can beat the Scolipede, it can beat his own Heracross. I can go for Rock Blast if if he tries to get in Victini on something like, predicting a weak attack, I can knock it out with Rock Blast, stuff like that. So I like Heracross here. Same for Meloetta. Kind of beats his Heracross and his Scolipede. Does a lot to his Scizor, that sort of stuff. Diancie's obviously way too good to sack, and Blastoise is pretty much my only guaranteed way of revenge killing this thing. So my play here is just going to be, okay, I'm going to throw out the Snorlax. So I go into Snorlax as he goes for the Z-Fly, and there goes my Lax. So this is where the Protect on the Blastoise would have been super nice, because I could have beaten this thing 1v1. It goes for the Outrage, you can see it does 71%. I would not have taken 29% from the Z-Fly through Protect, and especially after leftovers I would have lived this. So we end up getting rid of the Dragonite there with Ice Beam, so it's a huge threat for my team gone. Blastoise is weak, but we got rid of this. Here I predict Bullet Seed here, go out to my own Heracross here. He Mega Evolves, goes for Bullet Seed, sure enough, does about 40% here. This thing is so strong, that's resist non-stab attack, but it does 40%. Get our Flame Orb off. He ends up scouting here. I was considering going for Aerial Ace, but I figured you would probably scout for that because if I'm bringing in Heracross on Heracross, I probably have to have something for it, and so I figured you would expect me to have Aerial Ace, and I just go for the Rock Blast here, because if you expect Aerial Ace to come out, you go out to either Scizor, you go to Archeops, or you go out to Victini to try and get an advantage. So I figured if I go for Rock Blast, I could potentially just get a KO if he goes into one of those Fire or Rock types. I go for the Rock Blast, end up having my own skill link, essentially. I get off 5 hits, which is super nice. I expect him to go for the Bullet Punch here, and just try and weaken up my Heracross some more. So I go out to Magneton as he does Bullet Punch, so this thing is trapped. I do my damage calcs. I can actually just click Volt Switch here and get in a threat. So go for the Volt Switch here as I go out to Meloetta. So bringing Meloetta here does one of two things for me. It keeps the Heracross from coming in 1, and it keeps the Scolipede from coming in. If he does elect to go to Scolipede as like a lure, I can just go Psychic and get rid of that thing, which is huge, because then outside of a potential Scarf Pokemon on either Victini or Archeops, he has nothing then that outspeeds my Diancie. The Victini will be slower without Choice Scarf, and the Archeops is a speed tie. So if I can bait the Scolipede out here and get rid of that, that would be awesome. Similarly, if he goes out to something like Archeops, I think the only thing that can knock me out is going to be like a Head Smash, and if he wants the Head Smash, then he has to get into Defeatist range. That makes that thing way less of a threat. But he does go out to Victini here. I figure he's going to go for V-Create. I want to scout the damage. So we got the Blastoise here. The V-Create, it does 22% to my max Fizz Death Blastoise. And so I think here's where I kind of need to spend a little bit more time thinking. So if I'd really spent a lot of time calculating that, I would have realized that that's not max attack Victini. And so what that should tell me is that this is not Scarf Victini. Because if you're running Scarf Victini, you want to run max attack, max speed. Maybe not max speed, maybe a little bit of bulk, because you can afford to drop speed with the Choice Scarf to make sure that you're just outspeeding relevant threats at +1. You know, something like Choice Scarf Meloetta or something like that. But for the most part, you're going to want to run max attack. And this was clearly not max attack Victini, which should indicate to me that he's not Choice Scarf. He's probably some other item, and he's got might have some bulk too if he's not running max attack. Anyway, so I just trade the Blastoise off here. So he creates again. He knocks me out. I go to Diancie here because look at his team. He's got a Heracross, which is going to die to Diamond Storm and a Moonblast. He's got a Scolipede, which is going to die to Diamond Storm. He's got a Victini, which is going to die to Diamond Storm. And he's got an Archeops, which is going to die to Diamond Storm. Like I said, I figured this thing probably wasn't Scarf because even though I hadn't really run the damage calcs and come to this thought that, you know, in hindsight, I should have realized that he wasn't Scarf 100%. But I figured against my team, I wouldn't run Choice Scarf, so I figured he probably wasn't Choice Scarf. If he did end up being Choice Scarf, which, like I said, I wasn't expecting, great, I guaranteed to win this game right now. If he was Choice Scarf, or if he wasn't Choice Scarf, then this comes down to a 50-50, right? Because if you look at his Victini, it does really well against my Heracross, it does really well against my Meloetta, and does really well against my Magneton. So I figured he probably shouldn't risk this Victini and just sack it. But at the same time, so I can go for Rock Polish and try to just win this game right now. But at the same time, he also should know that there's a potential that I have Rock Polish, and if I go for Rock Polish, he's just going to lose. So, yeah, it kind of comes down to 50-50. And I go for the Rock Polish here. He stays in, goes for the Energy Ball. And now this is important here. So I was running Naive Diancie, which in hindsight was a mistake. I should have run Hasty. Because if I was Hasty, there was a very low chance that I was 2-hit KO'd by this Energy Ball. And so even though he got the 50-50 right and stayed in on the Rock Polish here, if I was Hasty instead of Naive, there's a good chance I took 2 Energy Balls, and it wouldn't matter anyways, because now I can just go for Diamond Storm and pick up a KO. He goes up to Scolipede, sacks it, I go for the Diamond Storm, bop. That thing is gone. Great, get the defense boost here. So he goes Victini. Diamond Storm does live because he has a lot of bulk. He goes for Energy Ball, and he does knock me out, so that's a bummer. I don't have anything faster than this Victini, I'm assuming, so I have to force him to V-Create here, so I got to Magneton, as now I can bring out my Meloetta here, and just click Hyper Voice here. Hyper Voice would guaranteed kill even a bulky Victini, even if it was like AV. I think there's a good chance it did enough to Archeops to put it in range of Defeatist, but he does just go Heracross, and now he sacks Heracross to the Psychic. Cool. So here, Archeops comes in here, and I realize, okay, this is my chance. I can trick him up here and win the game. But he does hit Head Smash, knocks me out, and so now he drops to the Head Smash. So now he's into Defeatist. I drop to Head Smash. I should probably still die to Head Smash because it's a powerful attack. He misses. I go for Rock Blast. I hit, knock this thing out. So now it all comes down to one thing. So I saw the Victini was super bulky. The question is, how much speed is he running? Is he running enough speed for Heracross? So that's what this game comes down to, because he's in range of my Guts Close Combat. So I have 100% win chance if I'm faster. So am I faster? No, I'm not. He ends up V-creating, and he knocks me out. So he made a really, really good play there, staying in with the Victini against the Diancie. I figured he wouldn't risk it, like I said, because of how good Victini was against my team. But at the same time, I also understand if you are expecting Rock Polish here, you guarantee to lose the game if you switch out. So I understand that play of him staying into Energy Ball. If we try to go back and think about what would have happened on this turn, so I have my Diancie here. If I go for the Diamond Storm here on this turn, Victini's gone. And so now he's down to just Heracross, Scolipede, and Archeops. And now one of two things can happen here. If I get the defense raise, he ended up telling me afterwards he was Scarf Archeops. And so if I got the defense raise, he wouldn't have been able to knock me out with Scarf Earthquake. So he would have had to go risk his Iron Tail, which had a really good chance to kill as long as it hit. So he would have had to go out to Archeops, and then it would have come down to a thing like, do I stay in or do I scout for a potential Scarf Iron Tail? I'm not 100% sure how I would have played in that scenario. Because obviously he would have outsped me. He would have revealed that he's Scarf, right? So I'd be able to go out to my Magneton. If he goes for the Iron Tail and hits and knocks out my Diancie, go out to the Magneton and just click Thunderbolt and like kill something. Although honestly, I'd probably, I don't know. So yeah, it really would have come down to that play. So if I got a defense raise and he goes Archeops, then yeah, it would be tough, because if you're going Archeops, that does tell me that you're probably Scarf and you probably do have something like Iron Tail to try and guarantee kill this Diancie. So then if I do go Magneton on the Scarf Iron Tail, and then I get to Volt Switch, I bring Diancie back in, I get another kill, and then we're just up with too many kills really for my opponent to try and bounce back. So yeah, hard to say 100% how this endgame would have worked out if I clicked Diamond Storm on this turn. I don't really regret my play per se. I think the thing I do regret is that I elected to run Naive over Hasty, because I should have always been running Hasty. Since I really can't take a defensive hit from anything, I can't take a Bullet Punch from Scizor regardless. I can't really take Bullet Seed from Heracross regardless, that sort of stuff. So the Naive made more sense because Victini's best move against Diancie and Quagsire on my team was Energy Ball. And so if I could have made a 0 investment Jolly Energy Ball, not a 2-hit kill my Diancie, again, I would have just won the game regardless of whether I got this 50-50 right or not. So yeah. Anyways, this was a super close game. It was a ton of fun. I'll just go ahead and get to the end here. It was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed the game. A bit of a bummer because now we're obviously 1-2. Although I did feel like our last 2 weeks between my traveling and I feel like some of the matchups are also pretty hard, just for what we drafted. So I'm not too disappointed in those losses. I think both of the losses I took were good losses, and it's not losses where I feel like, oh, I lost because my draft is bad or because I played like garbage or anything like that. It was more just my opponents brought the right sets and one or two key 50-50s and stuff like that. So overall, I've been really happy with how this draft has been going, this season has been going. And yeah, I'll have to try and bounce back next week, get back up to 500. Yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, and I'll be back next week with some more APA action. Until then, peace.